Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel where we uncover the most astonishing stories from history. Today, we're diving into an epic tale of courage, discipline, and sheer defiance that shook the very foundations of the most powerful empire the world had ever seen. We're talking about the Zulu warriors and how they delivered a crushing, unthinkable defeat to the mighty British Empire. Imagine this. It's 1879. The British Empire, a colossal machine of military might, believed itself invincible. They strode into Zululand, expecting nothing more than a swift, easy campaign. A quick lesson to these African kingdoms on who truly ruled the world. Their arrogance was palpable, but what actually happened would send shockwaves across continents and etch itself into the annals of history forever. On a sweltering January day, in a remote corner of Africa at a place called Isandlwana, an army of disciplined Zulu warriors shattered the myth of British invincibility. How did this happen? How could an African kingdom stand against the technologically superior British forces? Well, the Zulu kingdom was no ordinary state. Its very existence was forged by the will of one legendary man, Shaka Zulu. Shaka was more than just a king. He was a revolutionary warrior. He transformed a collection of small tribes into a fearsome, cohesive military machine. He taught his men to fight not as scattered individuals, but as a single living organism, moving with terrifying unity. Shaka revolutionized their weaponry and tactics. He replaced the traditional throwing spear with the iconic Ikalwa, a short, stabbing spear designed for brutal, close-quarters combat. He instilled in his warriors a creed of speed, silence, and absolute ruthlessness. His legendary buffalo horns formation became a masterclass in military strategy, a deadly combination of flanking maneuvers, overwhelming frontal assault, and disciplined coordination that could crush enemies long before they even understood what was happening. This wasn't just fighting, it was an art, a science of war. By 1879, Shaka was long gone, but his spirit, his legacy, his discipline lived on in every single Zulu warrior. Their culture was imbued with martial pride and a deep understanding of their unique fighting style. When the British, led by Lord Chelmsford, invaded, they brought with them the cutting edge of military technology. Martini Henry rifles, capable of rapid fire, powerful cannons, explosive rockets, and thousands of well-equipped soldiers. They saw the Zulus as primitive, uncivilized, and vastly inferior. It was a fatal miscalculation. Arrogance, as history often reminds us, is a dangerous weapon to wield, especially when facing an enemy you underestimate. The stage was set for a confrontation unlike any other. On January 22, 1879, at the base of the distinctive Isandlwana mountain, the British forces made a critical error. They camped with a misplaced sense of security, believing themselves untouchable, and even worse, Lord Chelmsford led a significant portion of his troops away on a scouting mission, leaving the main camp vulnerable. What they didn't know, what they couldn't possibly imagine, was that 20,000 Zulu warriors, silent, perfectly hidden, and absolutely ready, were closing in. They had marched barefoot through the night, their cowhide shields and deadly Ikalwas their only companions, their resolve unbreakable. Their orders were chillingly simple: encircle, overwhelm, destroy. When the Zulus finally launched their attack, it was a spectacle of terrifying precision, their buffalo horns formation executed flawlessly. The chest held the British frontal position, while the horns swiftly moved to encircle the flanks, trapping the British like a vice. The British opened fire, unleashing volleys of rifle shots and cannon fire, mowing down wave after wave of attackers. The air was thick with smoke, the ground began to run red, yet the Zulus kept coming. For every warrior who fell, another immediately stepped forward, driven by an almost supernatural bravery and an unwavering sense of duty. Their relentless advance seemed unstoppable. As the battle raged, a critical turning point emerged. The British Martini Henry rifles began to overheat from continuous firing, and even more catastrophically, their ammunition started to run dangerously low. Seizing this crucial moment, the Zulus charged in, closing the distance, rendering the British technological advantage moot. The fighting descended into a brutal hand-to-hand struggle. It was rifle butts against razor-sharp spears, bayonets clashing against hardened shields, men dying in the red dust of Africa in a desperate primal melee. In less than 2 hours, an astonishingly short time, the mighty British camp was annihilated. Over 1,300 British soldiers lay dead on the battlefield. It was a defeat so complete, so utterly unthinkable, that when the news reached London, they refused to believe it. How could an African army, armed primarily with spears and shields, have utterly destroyed a modern European force in open battle? The British Empire had been humiliated on an unprecedented scale. For the Zulus, Isandlwana was more than just a victory. It was a profound statement. They had fought not merely for their land, but for their dignity, their sovereignty, their inherent right to exist on their own terms. Isandlwana instantly became a global symbol of resistance, a powerful moment where raw courage, unwavering discipline, and unbreakable unity triumphed spectacularly over imperial arrogance and technological superiority. It was a reminder that the human spirit, when united and determined, can overcome seemingly impossible odds. But such glory often comes at a steep cost. The British Empire, wounded to its very core and burning with vengeful pride, would not let this defeat stand. Months later, their armies returned, this time with an overwhelming, coordinated force, better tactics, and a brutal, unyielding determination to erase the memory of Isandlwana. The war continued, culminating in the fall of Ulundi, the Zulu capital, and the eventual breaking of the Zulu kingdom. Yet even in defeat, the legend of the Zulu warriors lived on. To this very day, historians and military strategists study Isandlwana not just as a fascinating military event, but as a pivotal moment that exposed the inherent cracks in imperial power, the dangers of arrogance, the folly of underestimating indigenous genius, and the profound strength of a people who simply refused to bow down. The Zulus didn't just fight the British. For one unforgettable, incredible day, they fought history itself, and they won. The British Empire would go on to control a quarter of the globe, its vastness almost incomprehensible. But deep in the heart of Africa, there was one sacred mountain where their power faltered, where discipline met courage, and where empire met its formidable match. That mountain was Isandlwana, and the men who stood victorious there, if only for a fleeting moment, were the magnificent Zulu warriors who dared to defeat the British Empire. Their story is a testament to the power of human will and the enduring spirit of resistance. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey through history. If you found this story as inspiring and astonishing as I do, please hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more incredible historical revelations. Your support helps us bring these forgotten tales to life. See you next time.